Good morning everyone and welcome to this morning's assembly, which is going to be on strength. It's going to be on strength, and particularly when we're talking about our shine like stars, we talk about gentle strength. So we're going to talk a little bit about what strength is, about maybe our weaknesses, and gentle strength as well. So the first thing, just from yesterday, just a bit of work. So thank you to the people who first of all commented on the video. So Lucas, good morning to you. I know you always watch. Thank you for your wonderful comments. Thank you for your birthday wishes, you and Macy as well for Finn the other day. That's fantastic. So good morning to you and all the work you're doing. I know you did some work yesterday, Lucas, on shadows as well. So well done. And here we have some work from David, which we are going to show and be on the PowerPoint later on in the week. You'll be able to read this on Friday when we do the PowerPoint for Friday. Yesterday, David did the science experiment and he did the shadow experiment, and he worked out that that his shadow moved depending on the time of the day, and that earlier on in the day the shadow was bigger, and later on in the day the shadow was bigger, and at midday your shadow is smaller. So there's David's work there, and we have got some pictures as well, Harry, of David doing his work. Just there, yeah, there we go. So you can see there at 6 p.m. it was 308 centimetres. Harry, what was the other one? And this one here, there we go, 12:15 it was 111. So just go back to the other one again, Harry. See, 111 at 12:15. And 308 at 6 p.m. So you can see later on in the day the shadow was a lot longer, and you can see that from the picture, but we will put the picture on the PowerPoints later in the week. And Emmerich also did a similar thing. If you go to the bottom, Harry, there, just to the other picture, which is just this one over here, photograph just here. We'll show, oh, come on Harry, photograph just, go back to photos, just here, just there, yeah, hover over that, and just go across to this one down here, there. Click on that, there we go, similar thing. At 10 o'clock in the morning it was 109, at 12 o'clock it was 93, so it went a bit smaller, and then at 5 o'clock it was 205, it was longer. So he says at the bottom there, my shadow moves around and changes size during the day. Fantastic work there as well. So we'll put those on the PowerPoint later in the week. We're going to talk today though about strength, so Harry's going to get the PowerPoint up now. I'm going to talk particularly today about the Olympics in London. So if you want at this point and you want to talk to your children about the London Olympics and remind them about it, we're particularly going to focus on the Paralympics today. So the Paralympics was created by a German doctor. Harry, go to the next slide please. Sorry. It was created by a German doctor called Dr. Ludwig Guttmann many years ago, and in the 1960s. So he created the first ever Paralympics. And obviously in 2012 we had the main Olympics and the Paralympics as well. So if you want to do a bit of a look and a bit of research about that and remind the children about it, because we loved it as adults, but our children were probably very small at the time. Harry, next slide please. So, like I said, the 2012 Games took place in London. Athletes with disabilities from 147 different nations came to that, and it was an amazing, amazing experience, and it was brilliant to watch as well. Harry, next slide, please. So, we all have strengths and weaknesses. So strengths are something that we are really, really good at, or it can mean that we are really strong. And the boys this morning have got their weights, and they're going to show you a little bit of strength now, aren't you boys? So put down the PowerPoint, Harry, here we go. So while the boys are doing this, you might want to take your time to think about what your strengths are, and also what your weaknesses are. Are you ready? So we're going to have 10 seconds now. I want you to think about what your strengths are, and the boys are going to do some showing some strength. 1, 2, you're going to do 10. Oh, 3, push yourselves. Oh, Harry. 4, 5, keep going. 6, well done Finn. 7, don't put 8, 9, and one more Harry. Oh, he's tried that. Good. Well done boys, put it down there. Oh, that's quite heavy that one, isn't it, Harry? Harry did really, really well there, because that is particularly heavy. But when he found it hard, he carried on through, and that's important, and we're going to talk about that later on with your strength. At one point I thought the telly was going through Harry, but we did alright to carry on. So, while they were doing that, you've hopefully thought about your strengths and your weaknesses. Harry and Finn, Harry first of all, what's your strengths? What do you think your things that you are good at?
Tennis.
You're good at tennis? Okay. So you can talk about your strengths as things that you're good at, like tennis. But what about you personally? Is there anything personal to you that you think you are? tough?
Things get tough.
That's good. So you think that's a strength? That's a great strength. So he carries on going when things get tough. Okay, brilliant. Finn, what would you say you are good at? Football. Anything else? Oh, gymnastics. What about yourself? What type of person are you? What's your strengths as a person? What are you? You're good at football. What about you as a person? You're kind, aren't you? You said you were kind before. And caring. All of you is kind and caring. So Finn is kind and caring. Harry tries and carries on. What about your weaknesses, boys? What do you think you might want to get better at? So it's not just weaknesses, but also what you might want to get better at. What do you think you want to get better at, Finn? Karate. It's an interesting one. I like it, Finn. He's never done karate. That's something you could try. What about the things that you do already? What would you like to get better at? You said before to me. You said your gym. Yeah, you want to get better at his gymnastics. So
it's his strength and his weakness.
It's his strength. It can be a strength and his weakness because he's really good at gymnastics, but you still feel like there's some weaknesses in that, didn't you? You said before, Finn. What about you, Harry?
Spellings.
Spelling. So Harry finds his spellings hard. And what about you as a person? Is there anything else that you find your weakness could be? Is it sometimes you get frustrated?
Yeah.
You said before. So Harry sometimes said before that he sometimes gets frustrated and he needs to work through that. So sometimes he'll work through and he'll battle through tough things, but sometimes he just gets frustrated and he's got to stop that as well. So what are the things that you are really, really good at? Usually, that's quite difficult to work out. Usually we know what we're not so good at, but we don't always think about what we're good at, so it's important that we do that today. Next, Harry, please, on the slide. So think about your strengths and your weaknesses. So every child has brilliance inside them. Their job is to dig it out and give it to the world. You are all brilliant. It's tough at the moment, but you are all fantastic. That quote is very important. Every one of you has brilliance inside you. It's finding that brilliance. Next slide, Harry, please. So there are four main principles that the Paralympics are based on, and they're all to do with strength. So Harry, next one, please. First of all, courage. Courage to carry on, physical courage, pushing yourself to the absolute limit. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to try your best, whatever happens, to show courage when things get tough. Next one, Harry. Determination, that we are determined to succeed even if things get tough. That we keep going when things get hard. And Paralympics is a particularly good one because a lot of these athletes have had to come through so much and be so determined to just get there in the first place. Next one, please, Harry. Inspiration, that they are inspirational to other people. So maybe look into the Paralympics today and some of the inspirational people and important people that did the events at London Games as well. And equality, and we talked about this as one of our British values, equality, and that everybody is equal and we look after each other. Harry, next one, please. So, we need to, when we find things difficult, we sometimes might find ways of remembering things when things get hard. So this is just a quick one for you to do here. We're talking about the planets and we're talking about space this week. There are actually 8 planets in our solar system, and we use mnemonics sometimes to remember those. You all remember it from school, maybe yourselves. Harry, next one. So, practice with your child today some of the ways of remembering all of the planets. See if you can remember them. So, it's Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune as well. Harry, press the button, please. So, you all might have remembered my very easy method, just speeds up naming. The reason I'm doing this today is because sometimes those sort of things can really, really help with our learning and our development, remembering rhymes. So see if you can remember that one. Just a bit of a fun task for you to do. Next one, Harry, please. Go on, next one, Harry. Keep going. There we go. So there's the solar system, there's the planets. We'll move on a little bit further, and the sun in the centre. 3 people here, Daniel Radcliffe, Keira Knightley and Richard Branson, who at the moment is not getting very good press, but is a very, very rich man. 3 people who overcame difficulties, who found strength from their weakness. 3 people, 2 of whom, Keira Knightley and Richard Branson, had dyslexia at school, and Daniel Radcliffe, who had something called dyspraxia, found it very difficult at the start of their careers to really take off. Because of the difficulties that were there, Daniel Radcliffe found his Harry Potter scenes very difficult in parts because his dyspraxia. There he is, Harry, that was the right slide. And he talks about it here, and you can read about this. He talks about the difficulty with dyspraxia and how he found that hard, trying to catch the ball and do things when he was filming scenes for Harry Potter. He found it quite difficult because of his dyspraxia there. So there's a nice bit of a quote from Daniel Radcliffe there you can read, and a newspaper article as well. Remember, this is on the website. Harry, move forward very quickly. And the last thing I want to talk about is gentle strength a little bit before we finish. And I've picked a spider's web here because we've talked about strength, but in particular in school we talk about gentle strength. Spiders are very good to show that, whether you're scared of them or not, because a spider's web is super, super strong, but also very weak at the same time. And we need to think about both. So the spider's web is very, very strong, as in it can be created anywhere. It holds a spider up, it catches flies, and it takes a lot of care and dedication for that spider to create that beautiful web. A lot of gentle strength to put it together. But it is very fragile at the same time, and if a human comes up to it and knocks a spider's web, it gets broken straight away. So we've got to remember that we are all strong, but we all have these weaknesses. It's important we understand both to be better people. So that's the spider's web there. So let's remember, we are all different. There's no such thing as a standard or run-of-the-mill human being, but we share the same human spirit. However difficult life may be, we can always succeed. And that was Stephen Hawking who said, however difficult things get, we can always succeed. We can always show our strength. Through weaknesses and strengths, we can get better and better. Right, every child has brilliance inside them, remember that today. And finally, Harry, we're going to do our prayer. Let's put our hands together and eyes closed. Thank you, boys. This is our school. Let love live here. Love for one another, love of mankind, love of life itself, and love of God. Let us remember that as many hands build a house, so many hearts make a school. Amen. Right, thank you. So, have a really good day. Think about your strengths and the things you're really good at, and maybe think about weaknesses you could work on. We will see you tomorrow. Harry, do you want to say bye?
Bye.
Say everyone. See you soon.